Excuse me.
Oh, shoot. Okay. 6:31, I've got to get started here with a few items for the board to consider, and then we'll get into the public hearings. First item from the July 21st meeting, we have meeting minutes. A motion and a second.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Jamie,
I second.
second by Kelly. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Got 5 separate resolutions for the board to consider. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 separate resolutions. First, this is TechBack LLC, approval of a specific use permit for their electronics recycling business in the industrial zone.
Motion to approve.
Motion from Max,
Second.
second by Nick, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion's carried. Second, 10 Lynbrook Circle, this was approval of an area variance of 25 feet for the front yard setback of 10 feet on that corner circle lot.
Make a motion.
Motion by Jamie,
Second.
second by Josh,
Max.
Max. You
Well,
guys sound similar, it really, that's me. All in favor?
I
Opposed, abstained, motion's carried. This is specific use permit for a wireless telecommunications facility in the R0 district for Verizon.
Very controversial.
Any motions?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Max,
Second.
second by Jamie by Hare, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion's carried.
Question. No obligation.
These final 3 are all for the same applicant. This is Joe and Carla Corona at 221 Briarcliff. First resolution is an area variance, 371.5 square feet, or should be 371.8 square feet for their total accessory structure size of 831.8 square feet. A motion and a second.
Motion.
Motion by Nick,
Second.
second by Max, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is carried. Second, these both are setback issues. First is the west side yard setback, approval of an area variance of 3.5 feet for a west side yard setback of 5.5 feet.
Motion.
Motion by Nick,
Second.
second by Max, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Last but not least, total side yard setback, approval of an area variance of 12.3 feet for the total side yard setback of 12.7 feet between both side yards.
Approve.
Motion by Jamie, second by Nick. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion's carried. That conveniently brings us to 6:35. First case, Patel.
Yes.
Do you have anyone in the audience to view this case? Anybody? Do you agree to waive reading of the notice?
Yes.
You saved me some breath, thank you.
So we want to talk about
Oh, before you get started, I'm sorry, it's my
Sorry,
fault, I do this almost every single
Sorry.
hearing, but for seeker, the town's declaring lead agency for the purposes of seeker. It's an unlisted action for commercial area variance, and there are no negative environmental impacts associated with this action. There is a planning board recommendation in the record for the board to review, and that's all I have. Sorry, go ahead.
So pretty much we are looking for the various clearance for the signage tree which is facing the DeWitt. What we're looking at it pretty much is that it's a pre-existing sign right now. So it's every 14 years or from the brand, it requires us to update the signage, which is already
Is this
there.
the best picture for you?
Yeah.
overview wise, yes.
I can change, just let me know.
The town is okay with the sign 1, 2, and 4, but the third one, they are looking for getting us want to get clearance and looking from the
There's one of the pictures shows the view from the thruway, which shows the actual sign. Yeah, so these pictures, are these the two that you're?
correct.
So these are the pictures that our guests or any patron would see from the thruway that helps them locate where the building is. For us, the reason we want to keep it, one, it's always been there, but two, it's a great signpost as people are driving by to help direct them to where it is. It's kind of far set back in at Yorktown Circle, so the visibility from the inside isn't as good as the visibility from the thruway. So in terms of guests knowing, one, that the building still is the Courtyard by Marriott, if that sign's gone, we have a feeling that they may think that the hotel is no longer open or no longer there if they're just searching it as a drive-by.
Now, our application says variance for 2 signs, right?
It is for the count, but the planning board has recommended one and not the other.
numbers.
So we still need to approve
The
both.
one with the numbers,
Go
you
back,
can,
go back up.
oh,
They approved 4, but not 3.
Well, they recommended our
Yeah.
approval.
so
Yeah.
what, the
3
signs that they
and
have
4.
by, the signs they had by right are which ones?
So
Yeah.
number
On the
1
road
is
sign.
not existing, but they're requesting number 1, and that's the only one per code that they're allowed by right because it faces the road on which they have access.
So one is
So that would
fine,
be a new sign. Sign 2 is an existing monument sign that they want to reface. Signs 3 and 4 both would require a variance.
and 3 is facing the thruway or 4 is
Yes,
facing,
three.
4 is not facing the thruway.
4 is facing
3 is
like
facing
a
the thruway.
exit or entrance ramp and the parking lot
But they do need a variance for 4.
for 3
Correct.
and 4.
Okay.
Yes.
The board only commented on the
3
third
and
one.
4, there are existing signs.
They recommended against the third one.
Why did they recommend against the thruway sign?
Because
they-
it's
So the
not for wayfinding, it's their position, it's for advertisement.
Advertisement, yeah.
and it sounds like the planning board's been pretty strict about signage along the thruway historically. The planning board saw sign 3 as being more
The sign
facing,
is currently there.
yes,
It is.
correct. Yes, but it's non-conforming.
And there's no excess area, even with,
No, they're relatively,
they're all small enough,
Yeah,
so they
they're small
stay
enough that-
within the threshold?
yes.
I think it's important to note too that you would have to get it off the thruway before you would see this sign. That's one of the the reasons that the planning board was opposed to this one. It's not necessarily truly required for wayfinding for that reason.
Right, based on number 3, no, number 4, Matt, can you go back to the one with the, sorry.
Alright. I'll go back to the picture.
Yeah. So number 3 is the one just facing the thruway, they
Right.
saw that that would be advertising and they've tried to really not allow advertising along the thruway. Number 4, because it kind of faces into the parking lot and the parking lot attaches to another hotel, seen as it could be more like a wayfinding sign.
Can you see number 3 from the thruway?
Yes.
Yes.
That's what we just,
Yeah.
And number 4, I know for number 4 you can for sure, 3 is where.
No, you can't, or
3
you,
you can, 4 you cannot.
So that's an entrance ramp right there in yellow at like the top of the screen.
Oh, that's getting on.
So that's an
Yeah, so that's
on-ramp for, yeah,
off the
Yeah, that's
throughway
like
at
getting on
that
the
point,
thruway.
so, or not on the throughway at that point. When you're passing 4, I think.
Got it.
The yellow is an on-ramp onto the thruway.
Yes.
Where's, so then the thruway is
right.
To the north,
north,
page.
above the
Yep.
100%.
Yeah, it just seems like the yellow at the very, very, very top
Oh, yeah, yeah,
corner,
yeah.
like that's. I don't know if you guys.
You have to get off well
I don't know if you
before,
guys have that in there.
oh, this is
If
good.
that's,
This is, and I imagine this is taken well past the exit of the thruway, this picture.
Yeah, it's just right before the exit.
Before the exit, hold on.
Coming from Albany.
Where's,
So that's the building there.
they're looking for the sign here.
Right.
The exit to get off is here.
Or you're coming this way to get up there.
Yeah, so it's
You can
essentially it's
cultivate
around
around.
for the driver.
Did the county say anything about this?
Other than that, someone said it has to go,
About
yeah.
facing the throughway?
it has to go to the DOT,
Well,
the Thruway Authority before.
It's not sure, it's irrelevant.
Right.
Right,
They
so
would
you
not
would
agree
have
with
to
it.
permit the
It has to be
signs and they wanna see
Useful
photometric.
if you're getting off here.
Even if the board approves it, then it would have to go to DOT for approval, that's right.
Thruway Authority.
Thruway.
Throughway.
Throughway authority.
Thruway Authority has jurisdiction 660 feet off the thruway for signage.
So that's the sign they want removed as non-conforming.
If I may,
3
we
and
started
4 are
the
both not
process with the
The
throughway.
three they're saying,
They are waiting
where
for
they're
the
saying should
photometric
stay.
for them to
That could
submit
be more
before they
wayfinding
can make a
within the
decision
hotel
pretty much. So
complex.
application is
But
in,
is this sign
phase
three?
in, but they are waiting for the photometric.
That I think is that's number 3.
They're not saying it needs to be removed because it's non-conforming, but they wanna
Well,
update the
because we
sign
have
to
to,
today's,
we have to either update the sign because
Or
the
take it
branding
off.
changed,
Right,
Yes.
or take it off.
Right.
yeah.
So
That makes sense.
we're hoping to be able to just
Sounds like-
rebrand the sign to the new logo.
I mean,
I mean,
I know, I am.
I mean, I've been doing this for a few years now, typically, we look at what the planning board's recommending and go with that. If this board feels differently, that's okay too. I think that we've seen many sign variance requests.
Yep. What's so significant about the Thruway in the town to you, in this?
I think the planning board has tried to not have it be an advertising corridor,
A
we don't
billboard,
allow billboards in the
right.
town,
Yeah.
same idea.
Cause they used to have a pole or a
A pylon
pylon,
for this, number 4 used to be a pylon and then
Right.
at some point that was taken down and made into a wall sign, into a building sign. But they're all non-conforming, there's something in the code where all non-conforming signs were supposed to be brought into conformance by a certain date, I wanna say like 2013. So they don't enjoy like a pre-existing non-conforming, they're non-conforming
Just
signs.
curious if the planning board considered if the applicant just leaves their non-conforming sign with the old logo, just for visibility. Have they
Well, their
considered
logo's
that they could do
changed.
that
I think they're
I mean,
required.
it's not conforming, so
without changing it,
can you do that?
without changing
No.
anything?
Well, there's something in the code that said by a certain date, all non-conforming signs were supposed to be brought into compliance, so it's a little different with
That
signs.
makes sense.
But I mean, if 3 isn't allowed, they would still have 3 other signs.
So we need a motion to either to approve the sign or the additional
Motion
sign?
to approve both signs, a motion to approve one of the signs, or a motion to deny both signs, I
Should we
suppose.
start with
Approve
the
one and deny one.
one in the parking lot?
The fourth sign.
Even that one, I feel like the planning board's being more generous than they typically are. Because in terms of wayfinding, I mean, I suppose the only way that really had a lot of value is if you were already in the parking lot and didn't know exactly which building you needed to be at.
Yes.
It isn't as if you could need that sign in order to find the building.
No.
So, I mean, based on what we normally see from them, even giving them that one seems like pretty
Well, if
generous.
there's a hotel nearby, I mean,
It almost
There's
looks like the
a
same.
hotel
whole
page
pocket of
south.
hotels.
yeah, I mean, when I drive into like sports stuff and there's 5 hotels there, I do need those signs, so maybe that's just me, but.
Well, no, because this is in the back side of the hotel, in the cul-de-sac though.
Right, but if there's multiple hotels in the same cul-de-sac area, it does help to know. I mean, all of these hotels look sort of similar on the outside, so if I don't know where you're going.
But what I'm saying, Clay, is that, like, sure, all of these hotels are in this area, this side and on this side. What I'm saying is it isn't like telling you like, this is the one you want,
Yeah,
it's on the back
South-facing.
side,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, I guess I don't have a problem with the fourth sign.
No, I don't either, I'm for it as well. Heck, I'll make a motion to approve sign number 4, which is on the west side of the building facing the parking lot, per the planning board's recommendation.
I will
Sign
second
number
that
4,
motion.
on what side of the building?
The west side.
West.
The west side, yeah.
West building facade. To which the lot does not have an access.
Embassy Suites has one facing the throughway. I'm sure you knew that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew you would,
Wait, they do?
yeah. Which is technically not conforming too, so when they go to update their branding in 4 years or 7 years, we'll have to have the same conversation.
Any second on Max's motion?
I'll second.
I second it.
I went with Jamie, Jamie was first. A motion by Max to approve sign number 4 on the west building facade, to which the lot does not have an access drive. Seconded by Jamie. Let's talk about the criteria. Will there be an undesirable change produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties created by granting the variance?
No,
It's consistent.
Some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than a variance?
Nope.
Should put as recommended by the planning board. Second.
It's gonna become a recurring issue.
Yeah, I mean, we could start enforcement with those.
yeah,
We have more staff.
Is the requested variance substantial?
Yes.
Signs, I think so.
The total size?
Yes.
Pretty consistent. Will there be an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district?
No.
Is it self-created?
Mhm.
Okay, we've got a motion made by Max. Seconded by Jamie to approve sign number 4 on the west building facade to which the lot does not have an access drive as recommended by the planning board. Call for a vote. Member Della Posta is not here. Member Pascal.
Approve.
Member Perrin.
Yes.
Member Trevette.
Yes.
Member Warbeck.
Yes.
Vice Chair Cornfeld.
Yes.
Chairperson O'Connor.
yes.
Okay, passes 6-0. You got exactly what the planning board recommended.
Thank you.
Well, do we have to make a decision on the second?
And you want me to make a motion? We might as well make a motion. You want the building to deny?
Well, I guess my concern about the foot sign is, are there safety issues involved? Cause that's, I'm not getting a sense like this is necessary for safety, but I wanna make sure that I understand that. So the one that, because it's on the other side of where people pull in with their cars, the only place you can see it from is the throughway. I'm not-
Past the exit by the time you can really get
And
square.
most people, in my mind anyway, are finding these things with their phones anyway. But does anybody have like some sort of safety argument that I'm not hearing or seeing? Like, is this make it safer somehow?
Considering it's past the exits,
I don't see it.
I don't say no.
It's kind of what I thought too. Okay,
Do you wanna make a
then I
motion?
make a motion to deny the variance request on the sign that's facing the throughway.
I'll second.
Deny sign number 3 facing, what side of the building is that?
North.
North, yeah.
On the north side, Josh's side. That's recommended by, I have to say that. Second? Second by Josh. Let's talk about the criteria, give me 1 second here. What's up, Sharon?
Nothing, I'm just laughing.
I'm
How do you do the
funny guy. Okay, I've got a motion made by, who made that motion?
Me.
By Dan. Motion by Dan to deny sign number 3 on the north facade of the building to which the lot does not have an access drive, seconded by Josh. Let's talk about the criteria.
It's always so hard to do these in the negative.
Will there be an undesirable change produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties created
Yes,
by granting?
yes,
Like, if we did grant it,
By
Yes.
granting.
yes.
yes, because
That's a precedent.
it's a precedent issue, but also it's contrary to what the board considers the plan is for having signs and 4 signs. And that's adverse to
Or signs to
what was designed in the strategic plan or the overall plan.
And we're probably gonna go forward, we're probably gonna see more of this request. So,
Precedent issue? Or is this not even, is that relevant? Probably not on this one. some other method
For the
feasible,
next one.
some other method feasible for the applicants to pursue other than an area variance?
No.
Is it substantial?
Yes.
Yes.
Four signs is a lot.
Some adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood?
No.
Why?
And argue it.
By permitting it, or what's
Will
it?
there be an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood by granting sign number 3 facing the thruway?
Just because the aesthetics.
Well, it's contrary, to your point, it's contrary to the town's plan. Just being consistent, I don't know, see, it's,
In that district? The alleged difficulty self-created?
yes.
A motion by Vice Chair Cornfeld to deny sign number 3 on the north facade of the building, seconded by Josh. Call for a vote. I is a denial. Member Pascal.
Aye.
Member Perrin.
Aye.
Member Trevette.
Aye.
Member Warbeck. Aye. Vice Chair Cornfeld.
Aye.
Chairperson O'Connor.
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
all set. Thank you,
Appreciate it.
guys.
Thank you.
You got that reasoning down? You got it separated there, Sharon?
I'm good.
Mine is looking pretty messy right now, just to let you know.
What's that?
All set, yeah. Next is
Parking spaces.
Shake Shack, 3275 Erie Boulevard.
Hi, everybody, how are you?
Anybody here interested in your application? Brody doesn't look too interested, okay. I will, do you waive reading the notice? Agree to waive reading of the notice?
Absolutely, yes, sir. Thank you.
Whenever you are ready.
Ready to go?
Oh, let me pull up your,
Wanna read your secret?
oh, and I do the stuff that I always forget. For seeker, the town is declaring lead agency for the purposes of seeker. This is an unlisted action for commercial area variance. There are no negative environmental impacts associated with this action. And whatever you want me to go on here, just let me know.
Site plan's probably good.
Yeah,
Your
just go to the
C1
parking lot view here.
Yeah, the C100's good, next drawing.
Okay.
This will show you pretty much everything you need to see. We have our civil engineer Pat Sheedy virtually, but I think I can walk you through kind of what we're here for, and if we need him, we can take advantage of his expertise. We're here for 2 variances. Shake Shack, we've been through the process a couple times. Shake Shack has added a patio that we see to the lower left with seating that's been designated, triggering additional cars that we needed for a variance. We had already had 7 car variants for the site. We lost quite a few cars in getting rid of some of the non-conforming parking, adding some of the landscape islands. The 12 seats that sit on Shake Shack's patio drive an additional 6 cars, taking my variance from a need of 7 that was already approved to a need of 13. Then we also have some property line, let's point out the property line that we're specifically looking at. This is the one along Erie Boulevard. DOT's done quite a bit of work over the years. We started this process, believe it or not, with a former Rachel's Mediterranean Grill in '21. And the survey that we had did not take advantage of all the DOT taking. With the updated survey, that now triggers us an additional variance requirement of a landscape variance buffer on the front. So those are the 2 variances we are here asking for. As you're very well aware, the building's pretty well done and being outfitted as we speak. So this is critical to our path to get this building going.
The patio increased the requirement to 62?
Yes,
It was
because it's
56?
56.
Correct.
It was 56 to 49, now you're asking for 62 to 49.
Because then it becomes restaurant
That makes
space
sense,
yeah.
when there's seats out there.
And
Makes sense.
the approval you're referencing is the same one that we gave when it was Rachel's. And Rachel's and something else, right? Weren't
We
gonna
did a
be-
Shake Shack. I had approvals for both. The patio was not referenced with seating. Shake Shack does their interior fit out. They placed 12 seats on it, which triggered the request for additional cars. I was representing the site.
right? I'm trying to understand the approval you referenced, is there been?
The variance approval
What, was that-
or site plan approval?
He's saying it's
Variance.
approved, we approved the variance, right?
It was only for 7 cars, that was with no patio seating, we had a patio included,
I
but with no
understand the
seating.
patio,
Was the
sir.
variance for Rachel's?
The question I'm asking is whether or not that was for Shake Shack or for Rachel's.
It
It
was
was
not for
for
Shake Shack.
Shake Shack, cause I had an approval for both, I have the building built, you would have never let me build the building
No, I
without.
think it was a prior variance though.
Okay, that's what I'm
It was
checking.
back.
They
One second,
agreed
one
to
second.
honor the
Yeah.
variance we had
Was
from
that approved for
Rachel's,
Rachel's?
it was, the original variance is Rachel's, yes, sir.
Understood,
Okay.
yeah, cause I don't remember,
I've got them coming in recently, November 2024, but this
That
is
was
for
for a sign.
signage, and
yeah.
Variances run with the land, so
Right.
that variance had
No,
been
I was just trying to
approved.
understand that I didn't miss reading where we talked about
No.
Shake Shack previously.
No, no,
It was the
no.
variance that we granted for Rachel's,
Yes,
yeah, cause we spent a lot of time talking about this
So
one,
those
I
are,
remember.
but I think it was for signage.
there was a sign, there was a burger sign, on
Correct,
the
Yep,
side
yep.
facing Ollie's.
yep, correct, that
We
was-
talked about parking though.
parking is ringing a bell for me, I'm not.
No, we definitely did, cause we talked about Once Upon a Child
People
and,
coming through.
No, it was
That
for the
was-
sign,
that was
the burger
approved.
sign.
Here before this.
We did all, everything you're talking about, we did all of them.
Right.
Okay.
no,
Here,
that
Rachel's
was
the-
more recent, I'm talking about before that. We talked about parking spaces.
Maybe with Rachel's?
Yes.
I'm
That's it.
sure it was, I think how it went was, when Rachel's boiled out in COVID, Shake Shack says we're interested, the only way Shake Shack would sign the lease was if we could guarantee a site plan approval for what was the Rachel site.
Right,
With some give and take, essentially, the representation was as long as you're not changing anything and it's the same building, just a different logo on it, that would be acceptable, but then we've now added seating to that patio, which triggers additional parking needs.
one of the things we talked about a lot last time was the access to the lot to the northeast. Is that still open, is that a stop bar I see?
It is,
So folks can still drive through the Olam's parking lot and enter this parking lot from the north.
Yes.
and we've
They
added stop devices and we shrunk it, it was a 36-foot easement that was there, it's now a traditional 24 two-way, so it's more parking lot like.
The
And are
neighbor
those
had
raised-
concerns with people racing through the parking lot.
And those are raised curb islands there at either end of the parking?
Yes, sir.
January 2023, the board did set parking stall reduction of 7 spaces.
Okay.
Long time ago now, but that makes sense, it happened.
And the landscape buffer, I think things moved by 4 feet. So
Our
they're
parking
not
lot
moved.
was deficient 4 feet from the Friendly site, our intention was to reuse Friendly's, didn't have their parking striped at 19 feet, they had them striped at 18. We recognized the deficiency when we went to start to develop the site and restripe. At the same time as when we recognized DOT had taken 13 feet of what was our right of way. So the variance was getting smaller and the parking was growing, so it really comes
There's
to
just no space there, so
So-
do anything, there's no
Right.
space.
So with the original site plan approval, we didn't require that variance because they weren't changing the pavement from what was already there, the existing footprint of the pavement, but now they're moving the pavement 4 feet closer to Erie Boulevard, so that's
And that's
increasing
represented in this shaded
And
area.
that's
That's what they need the
the
variance for.
patio,
No, that's the shaded area and the
Yep.
parking there,
This is the
so,
parking adjustment to get the 1 foot in each one of the spaces, we had to add 4 more feet here.
Pulling the parking down, which now takes us out of an existing site into a new site.
so they're increasing
Okay,
a
that's why.
non-conformity, so now it's triggering the variance.
I mean, it sounds like you're using all the space on that site to
Yes,
develop,
sir,
which
it's,
it seems like it's all necessary
it is.
to do so.
And the planning
Sitting
board,
there.
there's still, DOT has a lot of right of way there, so there's still a significant green space between the parking and Erie Boulevard, so.
Well, they're in the recommendation saying that they met it, but it's just not on the street side.
Planning board recommended all
Well,
the.
they,
The planning board,
it's more than 20 feet off the road, but that's DOT right of way, so they're not meeting it, but there's still green space there, it's not like they're right up to the edge of the
right, I
street
think,
or something.
yeah,
Alright,
It
I think I
seems,
can,
One of the
Yeah.
things we're supposed to ask about is alternatives. So I'm guessing, tell me if I'm wrong, you can't like bump out into where the grassy areas are to get more parking spaces.
Well, that's essentially what we're doing, but within our property lines. If you look back at the site, by bumping that 4 feet, my property parking
Right in
edge is
front.
virtually touching.
Go back.
Oh,
Back up a
sorry.
little.
Right there.
there is nothing left.
This site is,
The heavy line
Back to
is
the-
your property
That's
line,
the
right?
property line,
If you
they're
went
right
the
up to
other way,
the
there's no
property
room on the other side?
No.
Well, we used to, believe it or not, we gave up all this parking, originally this dumpster was back here with Friendly's, we gave all this up as a request.
to kind of make this more, not just things are everywhere on the site. So we gave up, I think it was a total of 7 spots.
At the request of the planning board?
Well, some of it was for landscape islands, so you lose 4 right there. The one to the north of those interior ones was one. We had 4 parallel spots back there with the dumpster, but I'm assuming the dumpster was probably outside of what would be conformance for where a dumpster would be located nowadays. We were taking what was Friendly's down to the foundation, so we kept the foundations and we were keeping the site and infrastructure. But with a new build, I really didn't have anything left to grandfather, so, we accommodated the requests.
So that met the.
So I noticed there are some spots on the neighbors, and you can't rely on that for your purposes.
No, sir.
But there are spots at the neighbors if there was some sort of overflow.
There are, but let's just say the neighbor and our owner, they get along fine, but there's been a little back and forth through this process and we've given up quite a bit and
Been going on for a while.
I don't know that they would be willing to give us any to a discount from their lot.
There's no reciprocal parking easement between the 2 lots.
Who owns the lot that's in between the buildings, between
I believe it's there.
Friendly's and Olam's / Once Upon a Child?
Between Friendly's and-
This, like the long narrow one,
Oh, is that the mattress,
They
Metro
might be
mattress?
connected to the mattress.
yeah.
Oh, really?
I don't remember who owns that one.
Oh, right, cause there is.
I know
that
those
kind of-
ones.
Yeah.
Sure.
My guess is when they took Bridge Street and reconfigured, those lots lost a very valuable left turn on Erie, right? So that redesign gave all 3 of those parcels some kind of access back to it. So that's why, our parcel, we didn't wanna give that up. Originally, we requested to close that off. But it's a valuable access.
So the variance is for how many spots then?
13 spots, where 62 are required, so they'll have 49 total spots.
Well, he already had,
He
I
had
had
7,
I need
Already
6
had
more for
49.
the patio.
So the number of spots
Required
isn't
are higher.
changing from their approved site plan. We had all of, the site plan
They
has been
needed
approved,
55, Nick, now
and then
they
they
need
came back
62.
wanting to get,
Or they needed
Survey
56
was
before, and now
wrong,
they
and
need
we're-
62, so we're just increasing, we're keeping,
Yeah.
it was 49 before, it's staying at 49, but their
Yeah.
requirement increased. That's why they have to do
because
it,
of the outdoor patio.
because they put the patio in, that requires 6 more,
because that
exactly,
becomes restaurant
More
seating then,
seating.
so it's also
For-
based on square footage.
just changes their calculation.
And the
4
planning
months
board
of the year.
recommended approval of the extra space.
Yes.
Yeah, both of them, I'm pretty sure,
And the variance for the parking.
parking and landscaping.
Right.
Alright, I'll make a motion to approve the first one, a variance.
Can I just talk real quick about the condition that they're recommending? Originally, when the site plan was approved, there had been a discussion of some sort of screening for the RTUs on the roof,
Yep,
and
that's been.
that wasn't on the plan, so we're asking them to add it to the plan, so it's being recommended as a condition of the approval.
Agree with that. Thank you.
Alright, I'll make a motion to approve the variance as requested and recommended by the planning board, including the condition that they install a mechanical screen to hide the rooftop units.
So does that cover one or both?
Because the condition needs to be applied to both, is what they're recommending.
Yes.
Yes. What they'll apply that same condition to the second.
Just copying this. It's hard to do.
Rooftop unit.
Motion made by Max, did I have a second?
Second.
Second by Josh. To grant an area variance of 13 parking spaces for a total parking space count of 49 parking spaces, where 62 parking spaces are required by the code, as recommended by the planning board, including the condition that the applicant is to add an aluminum mechanical screen to hide the RTUs on the roof, and the applicant is to set the screen to 6 inches above the top of the RTU. Let's go through the criteria. Will there be an undesirable change produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties created by granting the parking variance?
Well, let's hope not.
Some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance?
No,
Is the requested area variance substantial?
Yes.
yes,
There be an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood district?
No, I don't think so.
Is the alleged difficulty self-created?
Yes.
Got a motion made by Max, seconded by Josh, call for a vote. Member Pascal,
Yes.
member Perrin,
Yes.
member Trevette,
Yes.
member Warbeck,
Yes.
vice chair Cornfeld.
Yes.
Chairperson O'Connor.
yes.
Okay, parking variance passes. Unanimous, and then secondly, it's just a zero lot line landscape buffer. I will say, this is not the first one we've done with these landscape buffers going to zero lot line, right? We've had a few of these,
Yeah, we had the Franklin Park one, that was unique because it was kind
but
of.
they all seem to be unique by the applicants, how you have to use that space for whatever they're trying to do,
Yeah, I mean, if they hadn't
so.
changed
that
their
makes sense.
footprint, we wouldn't have come in with this. You know, it's just because they needed
So
those
they're
extra
gonna
4 feet that got triggered.
Well, but that's all state-owned property there. In reality, I mean, the sidewalk and the grass is there, but it's owned by the state. So that's why the buffer, right? That's why the buffer is,
Yeah,
They-
there's more buffer there than we're seeing.
20
Yeah,
feet,
I
Certainly.
mean, their
25
property
feet.
line is right at the end
Is
of the
right, yeah.
parking. Yeah, the state has a decent amount of right of way there,
Yeah.
And a brand new sidewalk.
yes. And they're putting in a sidewalk on Bridge Street too as part of this project. So
Oh,
it'll
Bridge
wrap around the
Would be
corner
good.
Sidewalk would be
This is-
going,
With a
on Bridge
crosswalk
Street.
going
There's
over
already
Church Lane.
sidewalk on
You
Bridge,
see it
it's
to
gonna
your
wrap
right,
around the
really,
Oh, yeah.
you see it to the right, so that we were putting in on your.
It's just gonna be about West
I mean,
West
like,
Street.
there could actually be adverse effects to this, but we'll see.
So, but their property line ends there, the rest of the property to Erie, to the paved portion of Erie is landscape buffer right now. I mean, the state doesn't have to maintain it that way, but it is right now. This one seems like a far easier lift to me.
That sounded like a motion.
I'd move to approve the second variance request.
motion by Josh,
Second.
second by, do I have to add this condition, or should I add this condition?
Yes.
Seconded by Max.
We get a second, I think we did.
Yes, we did. I'll tell you who. I hope we did, yeah, Josh did. With the condition.
I'm sorry, who seconded that, or did anybody else?
I got it, 1 second.
I did.
It was Josh and then Max, first by Josh, second by Max.
Thank you.
Motion made by Josh, seconded by Max, to grant an area variance of 20 feet for a landscape buffer of 0 feet, where 20 feet is required by the code, as recommended by the planning board, including the condition, to add an aluminum mechanical screen to hide the RTUs and to set the screen to 6 inches above the top of the RTU. Go through the criteria. Is there an undesirable change produced in the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties created by granting?
No, it's an improvement. And they, making the maximum use out of the limited space on the lot.
Some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than a variance? The request substantial?
I think so.
Yes, 20 to 0.
An adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district?
No.
No,
Self-created?
yes,
Kind of.
What was
he
the
put in the porch.
The DOT right-of-way issue. Well, but either way, it doesn't really matter. Motion by Josh, second by Max for the 20-foot landscape variance. I'll call for a vote. Member,
To add the
Condition.
oh, you did this
I
one?
did, the condition is in both
Okay.
of the approvals. Member Pascal,
Yes.
member Perrin,
Yes.
member Trevette,
Yes.
member Warbeck,
Yes.
vice chair Cornfeld,
Yes.
chairperson O'Connor,
Yes,
6-0.
Thank
Congratulations.
you, ladies and gentlemen, have a
Thank
great
you.
evening.
Have a wonderful night.
Shake hands
When do you
with
hope to be
soon.
open? Yeah.
They're pushing, I would guess, give them 30 days.
Oh, wow.
They'll get this good
For
news,
the,
they're probably gonna be flying again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Will I
Thanks.
get the things up to your department?
Yes, yeah, we send them to, yeah.
No, that would just be coming on, well, now it doesn't even matter, it's not gonna sign.
Okay.
So it would have mattered if she approved it. Then we did the right thing with the vote. Make sure you go to
Yeah, I was in here.
next
They
question.
weren't making a hard page for
We
this.
didn't really have to approve of that.
I mean, the dot was not correct.
Yeah, they weren't really, they didn't mention that everyone else had, like,
I had them
If I mentioned everyone else
Why are
is
we
source,
talking about
I
the
think the others may, that maybe they would have answered.
You took,
The service inside or just segments?
I don't never go there.
They seem to.
Okay. Now we have board discussion of 6834 Kirkville. We had a public hearing that spanned the June meeting and then the July meeting and then was closed at the end of the July meeting. We have, as a board, 62 days to publish a decision in this matter. That looks like it's going to be at the next meeting. I did want the board to have the opportunity to meet, and it's almost a full board, we were close this time, to discuss and get your thoughts out on the interpretation and your thoughts on the record. I've put everything into the record that I can think of. The applicant is here, you can tell me if I've missed anything. I did receive Marco's letter. I have my documents I added, I have Attorney Bennett's documents that she added, and I think Brody wants to say something.
I heard you, is Marco's letter added to the?
Marco's letter is in the record right here, yes.
Okay, yeah, so that, there was some discussion after the hearing was closed about this 2020 application, and Kathy, from my colleague Kathy Bennett,
Yes.
didn't know anything about it, so we went and got that additional information. That's included in his letter. I could summarize it if you want. It's a pleasure of the board.
Summarize what?
The new information about that 2020 application that is in the letter.
It's up to the board. The board.
Sure, yeah, well,
Okay.
I got it up here too, it's right, it's the next page in this letter. What
Yeah,
do you wanna draw our attention to?
I won't read, I won't read at you, just sort of 3 points. First, we looked into it, it is a different property. It was a separate it was the Amazon property where they built the Amazon warehouse. It is true that my client signed the application in the owner slot. A different developer was developing that property, so we were the seller, they were the buyer, and they asked us as the owner to sign it, right, to sign the development application. And so that development application was in connection with a construction project where they were clearing, stumping, taking it down to the ground. Different than I say that because I think that distinguishes it from the property maintenance issue. Remember, my client, the subject matter is whether or not it was improper that they brush hogged, this field without a permit. So when they were asked to sign that permit as the owner, before there was a developer who was in the process of engaging in a construction project on that site to do the sort of clearing that we concede is the purpose of the permit application. The part that catches us by surprise is the idea of what we view as sort of normal property maintenance is different to us. It is the position, which I won't rehash from the last meeting, in terms of, how we conceive the application of that statute. Like you wouldn't do it for mowing your lawn or trimming your hedges. This is more akin to what we're saying, and this 2020 application is certainly not that. It was by another developer on another property in connection with a construction project where much more significant clearing was happening. So I'll stop there. I appreciate the opportunity to clarify.
The only question I have is, we discussed that in front of Kathy though.
Correct.
That wasn't after the fact.
Kathy was there for the whole discussion and it was all done.
Yeah, can you clarify that point?
Yeah, so I can clarify that.
Brody, Kathy had nothing to do with that 2020 application.
No, what he said suggested that she didn't witness that part. You referenced discussions that happened after the meeting.
No, let me clarify. So after the public hearing was over, still in the room, still in the meeting, then that application was brought that 2020 application was brought for the board, and then
Before the
you,
public hearing was closed, that was
Right. And then you
before.
gave Kathy an opportunity to
Yes.
react, but she said, I've never heard of that, because it wasn't our client who did it, and it wasn't our property, and it was something that happened in 2020, so she wasn't able to provide you with the information I just provided you.
Understood.
That's all.
I just want to clarify from the board, the only reason that was submitted to the record is just to show the signature of the applicant on an application for tree cutting. And that's it.
Doesn't all the applicants in the town of DeWitt require the property owner's signature, Matt?
Of course,
Okay.
of course we do.
Okay.
But when you sign a document, we're saying that when you sign a document, you're aware of what you're signing. Subscribing that, you have knowledge of what you're signing. And that's just my understanding of signatures generally. So to say that you can sign something and have it not have any effect, I find is not correct, but the board may think differently than me.
Returning to all those pictures that are in the record, and I know we talked about those in the last meeting.
Sure.
When were the trees cut? Do we know?
Well, I think you can surmise from these pictures, and Brody, correct me if I'm wrong here, I'm not sure. This is a long history here from 2002, and Marco, correct me too if I'm wrong, but it looks like different levels of, I'll even not use cutting, I'll just use, Marco, correct me if I'm wrong.
Change
Was it
the-
March?
Change.
So my client, Marco Marzaki's here, so correct me if I'm wrong, it's my understanding that this field is brush hogged every 6 or 7 years. Is that right?
No, there's the front part of the property that's been brush hogged and mowed for years.
Okay.
The back portion, let's call it the back 40, was cut as those photographs demonstrate, the aerials from, what was those aerials from 2017?
It was from 2002 all the way to 2020.
No, not these, the ones we submitted.
These are from Kathy,
Okay,
history from Kathy Bennett. This is what she went through at our last meeting, when you weren't here. So she went through and she's pretty much said from '02 up to the present, there's been varying levels of cutting on the property. Which Kathy, of course, argues is okay. But she did say that at no point were any stumps or roots removed here. So it's just varying levels of tree cutting is my impression.
I believe it's in the record, so. But
I just don't want to misstate what your attorney is saying.
Well,
Which one are
as
you
I said, the front half of this lot has been mowed for years. Okay, regularly, twice a year, sometimes 3 times a year, depending on the growth. The back portion of the property was last cut, and I refer you to the record. In 2017, roughly that time frame, and then it wasn't regularly mowed. Don't know what happened, there may have been a transition with property management personnel, a little bit of, things falling through the cracks.
In 2017, it was permitted, I understand, is that right? To be mowed.
There's something in the record from 2020 for Project Orange.
I couldn't find it.
I have the
It's
Project
Project
Orange.
Orange tree cutting and clearing, it's
This is-
labeled as under,
This is the document that they were just referring to.
Right.
So again, that 2020 application is the property next door. If you go to the next page of it,
I only have two, this one?
there's a map.
I only have two, I only put in two
That's for
pages.
the Amazon warehouse.
That's the Amazon
particular-
warehouse.
This
Yeah, that's the
one
Amazon warehouse. So
dealing
I,
with is a vacant lot.
it's the one next door. So blue is the Amazon.
That's what this application was for.
Yeah, and red is the one we're talking about. Right. So it's the next door property.
So man, you just brought this up to say.
I'm only showing Marco's
Just
signature
that
on
you're
it,
aware there was a tree cutting
Yeah, my-
rule.
that's all.
My signature there was as an expression of consent for the Amazon people to apply for the permit. Because at the time, we were still the
For the-
owner, although we're under contract to sell to them.
For the tree cutting
Okay.
permit, that's what this is asking for.
I didn't do a code review based on that application, and you know well that that doesn't happen. if there was a violation or of this permit, would you come after Wide Waters or me? No, you'd go after the Amazon developers. The point is, my signature is there is just an expression of consent that they can make the application. Whether
No knowledge of what's
all
in
the
the
protocols were
application.
followed, I never cracked the book.
And then I also had in here from 2017, again, this is not the same project, I can't be more clear about that, this is for National Grid.
But that notwithstanding, Matt, even if you want to assume some knowledge on my part of what was needed, as Brody suggested, that project next door is a completely different project. Okay, because it was a true construction development project.
Yes, I'm not.
So if you want to infer my knowledge of
comparing
the
the
law based on my signature on that one, fine, go ahead. Because I would agree with that. But this, what we're talking about on the subject property is completely different.
Is there a written proposed interpretation yet? Not yet, right?
No, not yet, I am going to write a draft interpretation, but I want the board to discuss and.
Is the applicant's position still that to to qualify as a removal, you would have to remove every part of the tree above the dirt and all the root systems below the dirt?
Correct.
From the site, 100% to be removed?
Correct.
Yes.
And they could just cut down to the stump, unlimited is their.
Right, it has to, that just seems like a stretch to me. Every part of the tree, including the root system, needs to be destroyed and taken away from the parcel to constitute a removal?
And the question is, did the town board intend that? Did they intend for that to be the case? If you
It
heard
doesn't
Ed
sound
last
like
time-
it to me,
Yeah, if you heard
but
Ed
that's
last
why I'm
time-
saying that just seems like taking it a bit too far. I think we should permit first of all, these are industrial property, this does not deal with residential properties at all. It's only commercial property or industrial.
Non-residential.
Non-residential. I think non-residential property should be welcome to prune and maintain them and landscaping, things like that, but to argue that pruning would include the destruction of the tree to the dirt level and then all of its root system, and then if you leave it there, that's just pruning, seems a bit too far.
That's what the code says.
That's not, well,
I don't know, so
we're trying to
you're saying if you
we're trying
stop
to-
short of taking out the roots, it's pruning or, I don't know.
No, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know yet. If that's the applicant's position though, I can't support that.
Except the word is clearing,
Yeah, it's clearing.
right? It's not, the word isn't like,
It's not cutting, it's clearing.
it's clearing.
But
So that is a little more problematic because, you know, if you're just mowing or you're tending, that feels different than if you're clearing, right?
Agreed.
And it's
Clearing is defined as the removal of living trees.
Clearing.
That's how the code, that's how the town board defined.
And that's
not the
ultimately,
cutting of living trees, but the
The
removal.
removal of living trees,
Removal.
and that's where the discussion of semantics.
It seems like the trees in this case were cleared pretty good, even though they were mostly left on site in dead form.
Were living trees removed from the property?
You know, I see Brody on the edge of his seat and I know.
This is supposed to be a
I know
discussion.
exactly what he's gonna say.
Yeah.
The question that you're debating this, we won. You're just,
Because it's ambiguous.
Because it's ambiguous, correct. Under the law, there's
I'm
no
not sure
room
it is
for
ambiguous,
there's no
though.
room for
Based on-
ambiguity.
Matt, talk about A versus C in the code.
Well, I already did all that, we've talked about the interpretations, you know, all of the ground disturbance and excavation is dealt with in B. Excavate, deposit, grade, remove topsoil or other earthen materials. So if the board wanted to require that for clearing, they would have said that, they would have put that in there. So, and then when you hear Ed come up, Ed was the town supervisor at the time, he was on the board, he introduced this law to the board back in 2008. And he's saying that it's not ambiguous and that clearing is meant to stop exactly what Wide Waters did.
But here's my problem with what Ed said. If we believe Ed, then the clearing didn't happen in 2025, right? It happened in 2017, because that's when they cut trees down.
He's saying it happened all throughout this time.
He's saying both.
So we've been clearing for
He's saying they've been clearing for years.
20 years?
Regularly, yeah, just had never been cited
That's
for
what
it.
And
I'm
then
saying.
how I thought clearing was like you cleared, like you can't constantly be clearing.
Between 17 and 2024, I mean, that's
Grows
7
back,
years
grows
of
back.
growth.
Stuff
You
goes
should see
back.
my.
Because they're not removing the root system, it is growing back, so then you have to re-clear it.
Well, new seeds get dropped every
Just
day.
drop a
Right,
leaf.
but I mean, it's like growing a garden, you know, like if it,
Or not mowing
you
your
can
lawn.
grow raspberries in another part of your yard if the raspberries in your garden blow into another part of your yard, it can just happen, so.
But did you clear them? And that's really a question I'm struggling with. If the raspberry blows in from another area, that's different than whether you cleared it or not. Did you just cut back? Did you maintain it? Did you mow it? There are lots of verbs you could use, but did you actually clear it?
Did you remove living trees?
Did you remove?
Did you remove living trees, so that. Question of interpretation.
I know it's not a public hearing, we might.
It is not a public hearing.
Yeah. Could I interject, is that okay?
You can ask the board, Kathy's had every opportunity to come in and argue her case, every
I wanna hear you out, yeah, let me hear, I'd love to.
But the board can certainly look at
Yeah. If I may say something, is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay, you've got a tough job, right? This is something where you're trying to make sense of something where there's a little bit of ambiguity, and I won't dwell on that, I think that point's been made. But what I will say is, something that I'm not hearing is removal of living trees. Okay, everyone agrees, some of it's staying, the truck's staying. One thing I wanna make sure that the board understands though, is this is not chainsaws and like a lumber crew going out and cutting mature trees. This is, a brush hog like device that's clearing fields and bracken and that kind of stuff. So like, there's no capability to remove anything more than 4 inches. So it's not, living tree, the board didn't give you a lot of guidance here, which is, I guess, it's your job to figure out, where the line is. I think everyone would agree that if it was a mature tree, that's one thing, but if it was a sapling,
no mature in
no one
here,
would say that's a living tree.
no mature in here.
But, right, it
Yeah.
doesn't say mature in the code, it just says the
Well-
removal of living trees.
If that's true, then a lawnmower
But
violates
if
the
the
law.
applicant is right about their
Lawnmower's
argument,
not
Brody,
taking down a 4-inch.
Where's the one that has the?
Sure.
No, but a tree.
Well, not a 4-inch wide, but
Can we go one at a time? 'Cause
a sapling this big is a living tree then by your
No, I'm
definition.
saying a 4-inch,
Well, is that the line's at 4
diameter.
inches, is it 3 or 2, or is it this little tree?
but I'm saying
Yeah.
you're saying brush hog, you can
Yeah.
take down up to 4 inches, so
Right.
that's,
I agree with that.
your lawnmower's not taking down a 4
So,
inch.
so this conversation we're having is the line, you gotta figure out what the line is, like,
if the applicant is correct,
Yeah.
and their interpretation holds here, that means any applicant in any non-residential district in the town can cut their whole property and not remove the stumps, and not,
Even further, all the way, everything can be taken out, as long as those pieces aren't removed from the site.
so to even suggest that that's what the board wanted, it's not even close to what the board would have intended at that time. If you know our supervisor, that is the opposite of what he'd intend, he would have you come in, every resident and non-residents come in and check with him personally. Of course, we can't do that, we just do non-residential trees, and that's what the board did in 08. And he's saying that it was exactly to prevent what the applicant is arguing here. So you can argue that, yeah, it's ambiguous, you could say ambiguous in any area of the code, really, no code is perfect. But I do think it's pretty clear what the board intended to do based upon what Ed said.
Well, then they should.
I think it's pretty clear that the applicant's position can't be correct, right? That can't be what the board intended.
Well, and that's all we have to decide,
Yes.
is the intention.
What's the intent and what did they mean
What
to
did they
do when
mean to do?
when they promulgated this
The
code?
intention,
Did they mean for non-residential applicants to come in and do site plan review and get a permit when they cut trees, or no?
Well, look, don't lose sight of the other sections of the town code, which we've cited in our papers. So it's part of the record. There are other sections of the code that use the word cutting and removal, clearly drawing the distinction between those two words. So, don't lose sight of that. That's critical to your interpretation of this of this word removal.
Not
The
with
code,
regard
the
to
code
trees,
could,
though.
the.
We're interpreting the code section, Marco, not interpreting each word, we're interpreting the
So-
section, what
so
did the board
just-
intend?
Well, you,
So, in
you,
the
you
applicant's-
have to use the words to.
In the
interpret
applicant's
section.
view, when was it cleared?
It was last cleared, I told you, I think it was 2017 or 2018.
Was that permanent?
Yet I was in this very room with Peter Weber as chairman of the planning board.
Okay, so
And you know, we moved our offices, as you know, and a lot of our paperwork was put in storage. I'll go look for it.
we also,
I'll spend days looking for it, but I know I'll find it.
I looked.
so why did you think you needed a permit in 2017 but not in 2024?
I was wrong. That's why.
So you don't think you needed a permit
No,
in
that didn't need
2017?
one back then, that's right.
So you think you can just cut unlimited
Yes,
down to the stump? Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do. And if the board had a different intent, if the supervisor felt differently, they should have done a better job wording that statute. And I'm quite frankly, I'm surprised that we're sitting here today and that section of the code hasn't been changed yet to clarify it. I'm stunned by that. I really am. If I'm on the town board, I'm changing that code to make it 100% clear. Take away any ambiguity out of an abundance of caution. Maybe he doesn't want to do that because it's a sign of an admission of some
It's up for the
kind.
town board to decide, Marco, you're not the town board.
I'm shocked by it.
You're the first one who's challenged it.
Well,
This has never
This
been
is
an issue.
Marco, we've been looking at this the same since 2017 here, and this is the planning board in 2017 for National Grid. And what they're saying here for National Grid, if I can find it,
I was looking for that down.
the cutting shall involve trees only, no shrubs or plantings. No grubbing or stump removal is permitted. So the planning board here is doing a site plan approval for cutting of trees. They're denying that you can remove stumps, right? So they're saying you can't remove stumps. How does that comport with your argument that cutting has to include stump removal? To me, it cuts directly against your argument, and so does this cut against your argument. So that's the only reason I'm showing those to the board.
I'm not changing your mind, and there's no way you're changing my mind. So you've got a job to do, okay? What you're faced with is the law, which is clear and not ambiguous. And that is that if there's any ambiguity in the code, it must be resolved in favor of the property owner. So the fact that you're sitting here debating this thing ad nauseum, to me is just
Well, they have to
a
debate it.
sign.
They can't make.
We have to
a
Not
discuss-
ad nauseum.
They have 62 days to debate it, that's the law.
Any opinions from the board? Let's get this back to the board, please. Anything the board would like to discuss?
Just a quick question on the procedure. Are we called to interpret whether what happened was clearing, or are we called to write a definition of what we think clearing is?
No, we're
No.
supposed to give a recommendation on what the intent was.
It's called
when they-
interpretation.
We're supposed to
It's called
supposed to
interpretation.
interpret the code, correct?
Well, right,
I mean,
so to
but-
Josh's
but-
point, it's
when-
independent of what happened.
But you
It's
have to
interpreted
look-
in-
That's my understanding.
But to
my
interpret it,
question.
you have to look at the intent. When it was-
It's just one factor to me though, I mean.
Right, you're right, but I mean, it's not to rewrite it or to propose a
So we wouldn't propose a definition of
We're
what,
not proposing a
what did the
definition.
town board intend with
What
this
did the town
code?
board
What do they
intend
mean?
to do with the code?
What do they mean to bring under
The
clearing?
department
well, we would
made an
elaborate in writing on
interpretation.
what it means to remove a
What-
living tree.
what
We
did
would
the board
elaborate
mean
in that
by
first
this?
sentence, that first sentence seems to be added.
But that's,
Or not, I'm not trying
if
to.
the code needs to be updated, that's a different thing.
That's not, I'm not proposing that, but we would elaborate, we're gonna interpret what we think that means and say whether or not what happened.
So the
was-
department interpreted the code and they're appealing the interpretation. So your decision is whether the
Department says cutting is
interpreted
part
the
of
code.
removal, cutting's included in removal.
Yes.
Applicant says cutting's not part of removal,
Okay.
and that stumps and roots have to be extracted.
But the
Part
department
B of
could have
the
asked,
code,
sorry,
I was gonna say, part B of the code deals with removing stumps and anything that is like,
Correct. You're supposed to say what it was intended.
that's disturbing the ground,
Yes.
because that would
Black
be
and
the,
white.
right, so the department could have asked us to interpret this without any context as to what happened, because we're not
The
deciding.
department did interpret the code, that's our job.
The applicant's asking us to interpret these.
The applicant is appealing the department's interpretation of the code to this board. So this board has to decide if the department interpreted the code correctly or incorrectly, basically.
Using the intent of the town board and using the language in the code to determine that. And Josh, you don't have.
And other canons of interpretation too, whatever.
And whatever, yes, of course, and we have plenty of lawyers that are on the board and other very smart professionals that can do it.
I don't think we're ever going to really make any decisions based on what constitutes a tree versus a sapling versus what was brush hogged when, based on what year, based on grainy satellite imagery. So I mean, I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to understand too, is from sort of in line with what Josh is asking, it's the history of course matters, but it isn't as if we're trying to determine the definition of this based on that history.
I think you could say that we could easily write a sentence on what constitutes the removal of a living tree. And it probably includes eradicating it down to the level of soil.
Once you get down below the soil, you're in section B. And that requires like a SWIP, it's, it's a different type of action.
Even though that
There's
tree,
ground
there's living
disturbance.
portions of that tree, I'm just talking about but and on the other hand, there are living portions of that tree still alive. Just below the surface.
The removal of living trees, so if you have just a stump at the surface, is that still a living tree? Is your question.
I think we could reach a decision on that. And Matt's gonna take the first shot, sounds like.
I just want your comments on the record so that the board is making all the comments they wanna make on the record, so that I'm using what you're saying and coming up with a draft that will come back to the board.
I think that property owners, non-residential and residential should have some discretion to prune and maintain their properties. I think it's in our interest to keep properties in those nice states. But I also think there's a legitimate interest of the town in not clearing large parcels of property without some sort of plan. And I think included in the definition of clearing is probably taking the living tree down to the dirt soil level. So that means in this case it was cleared. But that doesn't mean you have to come to the planning board or the code office, but I don't think, for every type of pruning that could happen on a commercial property.
Pruning is exempted.
Well, I know, but that's the line, they're saying they pruned, they're saying, no, they cut and pruned and said.
They're saying they didn't remove.
Then I think there's some level of cutting should be allowed, but not this much.
Cutting a tree or cutting like branches off a tree to prune, because those are different things.
The first one,
That's pruning.
I think pruning is okay. I think
Pruning
cutting,
is
I think
cutting
cutting,
down
since
the
cutting isn't in the code, I
branches
think
off
cutting and
the
pruning are basically the same. I think clearing is what.
Pruning is like cutting branches off a tree,
Yeah.
like
That should, and I think that should be allowed. under
That
this
is
one.
Pruning
That's
is
a
usually
different
done to enhance the life of the tree,
Okay, that's a good way, that's a better way to define it.
not to remove a living tree.
not to remove it.
So, but where's cutting then? You just say, forget about the word cutting?
Clearing is what we're
Okay,
using.
well, what about the word cutting? Just forget about it?
Clearing's when
not
you
in
cut
here.
down a tree.
I got it, I'm 100%.
So
What
here's
about
what it
cutting?
says,
talks about
clearing is
clearing.
defined as
I
the
know.
removal of living trees, not
I know.
included in clearing
But
is
is
the
cutting
selective
defined in
removal
there?
of trees.
No, it's not. So if the answer is just forget about cutting, Josh.
I don't know.
Cutting's not in here,
We shouldn't even really talk about that.
Okay.
clearing is the word.
They're saying that they did is cut.
It's relevant because
They're
they
saying
already
they
used
didn't
cutting.
remove.
Oh, okay,
So
alright.
getting into the semantics of the
No,
word
they-
remove.
that's the point, removal.
I think the word cut comes up a lot of the, they're saying we cut, that's not prohibited.
Cutting isn't in here.
So what's cutting? We don't have to
It's not
define
in
it.
the code, so it doesn't matter. We
I
just
don't know.
clearing.
So it's really
No,
what
decide if it's
the cis sort of bracketed thing that's improper term used by the applicant or the owner to describe the action,
So
right?
they're saying they cut, but they didn't remove, and that means they didn't clear.
Correct.
Because the code says clearing is defined as the removal of living trees.
Mhm.
That's the argument.
But it's no longer a living tree once you cut it. So it's so hard to fathom a situation where we agree that what they did was okay in the spirit and intent of the code, because they didn't take the stump out or remove the log from the property. The tree is dead. Like, it doesn't provide the, like the ecological function of a living tree anymore. So I can't fathom why we would have ever even included this if it wasn't meant to prevent the cutting of trees down and killing the tree, whether or not it was then removed from the property or not.
And certainly, the board could have been more clear if they wanted to. I think they carefully did this, and this was the result, but they could have been added more if they wanted to. They're certainly sophisticated enough to do so.
So does B enter into this?
So B differentiates between B and C because B deals with if you're actually taking out stumps, if you're having
Excavate,
ground
deposit, grade,
disturbance.
remove, things under the earth, right? If they could have,
So with ground disturbance, then you get into like drainage regs and things.
they could have
It's
just
a
kept
different
this
level.
without this, right? And they would have had to come in for site plan for any stump removal or excavation, and you really wouldn't even have to have this if nothing else was required, right? You would just have, when you're excavating and removing stumps, then you come in for site plan approval and permit. But they went further to add this specifically to protect living trees in non-residential districts, as you can see.
If they were thinking that clearing was taking out stumps and all of that, then they wouldn't have needed section C, because it would have been covered under section B. They clearly differentiated between like ground disturbance, that type of removal, and clearing. It's in two different sections.
Once somebody has cleared something though, what happens next?
I know, that's the part I kind of struggle with.
So if let's say they cleared it in 2017, and let's say that was bad and they shouldn't have done it. But when they go back and then mow the lawn, that isn't clearing again, they've already cleared.
Correct, but perhaps there should have been some forethought to what happens next. That's why the permit was required.
There was.
Let's
The point
talk,
is you want
let's
to
talk
plan for
before we
development.
clear.
7 years,
before
that's
you
the
cut the
trees.
trees, that's what Ed wanted.
Well, they
That's-
grow
that's-
back.
We want to see a site plan before you cut all these trees down, so you don't just do it and then you have an empty field for years and years, like we have here, because they just cut it clear.
Generally, the planning board likes to see tree clearing associated with the development plan, so we're not just clear cutting lots and leaving them.
And that's supported by the code.
But even, I mean, I don't wanna beat a dead horse, but then they cleared in 2017, they couldn't have also cleared in 2024, 25.
That's
Well,
7
no, they
years that
could,
the trees
because
were growing back.
they didn't
Stuff.
excavate the stumps, they
They
didn't
weren't
go
going,
under,
they
they
were-
didn't just, they're not in subsection.
Also, new plants grow.
They're not in P,
Yeah, those stumps don't
right,
grow
so
back.
they did
I'm with
not
you.
remove the stump, they
I'm with
did
you
not go
100%.
under,
Seed
right?
Right, with you 100%.
So then you
Make a
go,
field.
So you're saying they can clear several times?
you
But with a
can,
permit,
with a permit,
Yeah.
because.
Yes, you can clear the same plot of land several times.
Because you would
It's not
have
just
to.
one and
so
done.
because,
Well, you would
Stuff
have
goes
to, right, because you're not excavating, you're clearing, so you're bringing something down, but you're not eliminating it, so then it's gonna grow back, so that's.
Well,
But even if you did
stopping
remove the
seeds
stump,
and, you know,
more
there's,
stuff would grow.
yeah, I don't know that it's growing back
Clear
from
my garden,
stumps, it's.
There's any stumps all the time.
But they're not just stumps in the
do we
photographs.
agree that because B exists
Right,
as
I'm
a
saying
separate
what's growing
item,
back is
that
from like the
that
seeds.
means that the intent of C is to,
Govern,
the roots can remain? Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
and it can still constitute clearing.
It still constitutes a requiring a clearing
It could.
effort,
To take
which
out
is a
the
permit,
roots, put you in B.
Yeah.
If you remove the roots.
right?
I love that distinction.
Because that, to me, that's the biggest distinction, because B, clearing of roots is in B, which is separate than C. If you're clearing, as is defined in C, that means the roots stay,
You can't you can't eliminate everything
yeah,
about the
which
roots.
requires a permit. That's,
Without a permit, which should be freely, freely given, not
And site plan.
it's site plan, because B does require site, C
So
doesn't.
the C does, yeah.
B and C both require site plan approval.
Oh, they both,
And
okay,
development
okay,
permit,
okay.
yeah, so it has the excavation area, you always have to do site plan approval and a permit for excavation of land. And then the board also added this section for clearing of trees, not specifying anything with the roots, but just clearing of removal of living trees.
Is there anything else to add to that? I mean, is there anything else that,
Well, there's exceptions.
Well, and the applicant didn't doesn't fall into any of these
I'm
exceptions.
just saying,
whatever.
like, you know,
Right,
it's
so-
relevant that they provided exceptions.
Yeah, the board did provide exceptions, right?
Including pruning.
And we're not talking about a circumstance that meets.
They did not allow for just the cutting without stump removal, right? They could have accepted that, but they didn't.
So are we, do we have to, it's Latin, cis, like, someone help me, I can't. Is that right?
I have no idea.
When you write this means, in parentheses, it means that the reference was used with the wrong term. I have to look it up. It's a Latin term.
It's sending email, please.
Or maybe it's estimate.
The word stump isn't in B, I'm confused as to why.
Because it seems like to me,
No,
part of
but
the word
excavation
stump.
is.
No, it's just excavating the land. You can't take a stump out without.
Going under it.
Yeah, it's.
No, but my point is that like B doesn't really, it's not really talking about trees.
My point is
It's
that
the spirit
It's
kind of
any
that.
sort of
They
excavation,
use cutting, right,
removing
Cutting's
topsoil
the
or
wrong
other
term.
earthen materials.
in there. Do we need to clarify that too?
No.
Because
But I think
we need to bring it back
speaks
into
much
the
more to
vocabulary
like
that
the
we
earthwork
come up with.
aspect
We need
of
to say, what did the board
excavation. Talking about erosion and
anticipate?
sediment
What sort of
control.
actions contemplated by removal of the
Right, but it's
Kind of
not,
like what
it's
we're
not,
doing
it
here.
speak to trees.
We know what the board intended,
Right.
that's my opinion. They cleared the property. They cut everything down to the very ground,
Under the terms of clearing,
it's pretty black and white,
Because-
I think.
because roots are not included is in B.
See,
How did the board interpret it,
I'm
or was
really,
supposed to interpret it?
I'm confused as to why we keep coming back to B and roots, because sure, it pertains to excavation, but we're talking about like, what was the intent of the section?
I'm just
Because
simply,
the reason
because
why
it's
we're
separated, is
Right,
the separation, if it was combined, it'd be a harder argument.
You wouldn't need C, if
It
you
would-
would just
exactly.
stick with B, you wouldn't need C. Excavation of land, stump removal would already come in.
But it doesn't mention stump.
It doesn't, but they didn't have to talk about trees now because they
Because it's
moved
a
it
B.
to this section.
Right, but
And they could have said, the excavation is required, or stump removal is required. They could have put
I
that in
don't know,
there.
we're
That's
so
what they
far-
wanted to do.
the removal of stumps in B, to me, I think we're introducing more ambiguity. Because could you remove a stump with a stump grinder without considering it excavation? I personally think so.
It's, well, B says removal of the roots, so that
I don't
that's
see
called.
anything about roots
No, it
in
doesn't.
B,
It
no.
doesn't say that.
Talks about excavation.
There's no talk of roots,
No stumps, no roots.
those words aren't in
Earthen
B.
material,
This is talking more about like erosion, sediment control, proper, like,
More like soil movement.
yeah, talking about the grade of banks, ensuring they install, I mean, this speaks more to runoff and, you know. I really don't think that by tying this to B and some roots is doing us any favors whatsoever.
So you think we can just focus on C and do what
Yeah,
I'm
I
suggesting? Okay.
One, this is speaking to the removal of trees. Whereas B, I mean, sure, you could
And Max, you're
pull
saying
roots
this,
into it.
you're saying it's hard for the board, it's hard to say that the town board would have said that action is okay, right, the cutting is.
Right, I don't think they're talking about the removal of roots when they talk about excavation, retaining walls, maximum grades not exceeding 25%. I mean, that's just, they're like entirely different sections. I think they stand alone.
Any other thoughts?
I just have concerns about whether or not we say what they did constitutes clearing, because I just think it's far too difficult for us or anybody else to ever pinpoint what was done at a
You don't have to
certain
say
date.
what they, you're not judging what they did.
Right, well, no, but
No, I asked the question, you're right, but if we don't have to do that, let's not.
right, that's kind of what, I don't think we should say, did they clear in March of 2025, did they clear in what year? I don't think, like, unless we had a photograph from the ground every day.
We're not answering
That's
that
not what
question.
we're, that's not what we're.
They said they basically cut trees.
But what? But what?
They're just saying they didn't remove
We're
them
not saying that
physically
now,
from
but
the
it's going to
site.
matter when they ultimately, when this appeal
But couldn't we,
inevitably goes to the next stage, which
without
is-
dealing with every possible
going
scenario,
forward.
couldn't we just say that the ZBA has interpreted the code to mean that clearing, comma, the removal of living trees, comma, whatever, it's backwards, but it is completed when trees are removed, trees are cut all the way to the ground level, period. That doesn't include
Substantial cutting or?
No, I don't know that we have to deal with every scenario, we could just interpret the code to mean
Cut at the stump.
that the clearing
The
includes.
clearing does not
clearing-
require removal of underground roots
Could say
and
that.
stumps,
Could say that,
right?
could say clearing includes cutting a tree to the ground level, period. And there are also other, clearing also includes other
If you
things.
leave a stump that's a few inches, and they don't-
Substantially cutting a tree.
But I know, there's a lot of things that would also constitute clearing, but do we have to define all of them?
Okay, you're
What
saying
happened-
down, anything down to the,
Just because that would resolve this matter.
But what happens, agreed, but what happens after you've cleared? What happens the next year?
My record, in
Stuff grows.
Right,
in my
but when you
experience,
go
trees
in-
grow from stumps.
When you go and you cut
Sometimes,
back, when you go the next year
Some,
and you cut back, is that clearing it again? Or is that just some sort of maintenance?
I see what you're saying.
That's the, right,
That's the problem.
right, that's the problem. So basically, you're saying you have to get a permit every year
To mow your
to
lawn.
mow,
well,
It's not
mowing a
mowing
lawn
lawn,
is
it's
different
removing
than
trees.
clearing trees.
To mow lawn, your lawn at your house, you don't need to come to the town, but
You're
my
not
lawn
brush
does,
hogging
you know,
your-
and they're talking about clearing a massive
Land
portion of
save's
land.
easy.
And now they plan to develop.
But it was already cleared. I agree, and once
Seven
something,
I would argue
years
that
ago.
it's growing into like a forest type, it's not a yard.
It was already clear, but
That's
then
how
that-
forests
that
grow,
part
there's
of what
like
they did, did they remove
generational-
living trees at some point, then they cleared it.
Well,
without a doubt, it was cleared. There's no, I have no problem saying it was cleared. My problem is saying it was cleared in year one, whatever that was.
I don't think you have
And then in year two, and they do something else.
We're
In
not year
two, is
one
that-
and two, we're
is-
year one and 7.
Okay, but in year seven, they do something else. Is that clearing again? So that-
Trees.
Yeah, they need another permit.
Consider-
You gotta come in
And
and let us know
forest,
what you're
if you
doing and get a
leave
permit.
the vast amount of land around here vacant for 7 years, it's gonna grow trees. You leave agricultural land vacant, it's gonna grow trees.
it will.
Everything reverts back to
Naturally
forest
reverts back.
in the northeast essentially.
Ill vegetated.
Yeah. In 7
mean-
years, forest is gonna start to grow back,
And then we talked, last time we talked about the different
different species.
but
phases of
Yes.
regeneration.
But also doesn't, by virtue of the fact that it's growing back, if you're cutting it back, then it's alive, right?
Yeah,
Right, so clearing is defined as the removal of living trees. So if you cut a living tree and it grows back, then it's not dead.
It's not it's
Well,
we're
that
not talking
tree's
about
not-
growing back
That-
from
that
a
same
stump.
tree is
No,
not
I
growing
know,
back.
but
Other
I'm
trees might
saying
grow back,
like
but
you're
it's other
growing,
trees growing.
yes, right.
And other living
It's,
trees.
but that tree,
Yeah.
there's maybe a 10% tree the chance that tree's ever gonna go back from that stump.
Right,
And
so
other trees might grow
it's
back,
new-
not necessarily
it's
that
new
tree.
But
trees
that's,
growing.
right,
So-
but like something is living if it's
Every year,
creating.
every year.
It's not
Right,
creating life though, if the tree was never even there, it was an empty lot, in 7 years, there's going to be trees there.
yes,
No matter what.
That stump didn't create the tree.
right, it's new trees.
And the
Seeds.
purpose,
I think Max is right to
This tree-
simplify it, Max is simplifying it.
it had,
Yeah,
so whether or not, but even separate from that, even if you pretend for a second that every time you cut down a tree, one magically popped up in the exact same location, the exact size in 7 years, that tree at the time, to Ed's point, maybe with a little less, like, the environmental science lesson is, there were birds living in that tree, it was providing shade to the stream that went underneath it, it's providing habitat for other animals, and now it's not there. Whether or not it grew back, whether or not it's not alive for the next 7 years, it's not just like providing the same function.
And it certainly lays dead on the ground.
Yeah,
Right,
they're
which-
not growing back.
I think
Which-
that's kind of the.
Right, so,
Tree's not living when
but
it's
my
living.
point is,
Well,
even if it
dead on the
did, which
ground,
I
it's not
agree, it's not
living,
going
so-
to, those are entirely, they could
And that picture, there's a picture
There is a plant,
of all those trees laying on the
when it,
ground.
when it lays dead on the ground, it's dead,
Yes,
it's not a living
Something like
tree,
this.
the removal of living trees.
yes.
right, I don't think that helps you.
yeah, sorry.
it does.
No, because
I'll take it
because
back,
what
I
that's
was
saying
talking
is
about
that
it.
if you've got big trees laying down, that was a clearing. If you've got some shrubs that you just mowed over, that's not a clearing.
They're not mowing, they're brush hogging, which can take out up to 4 inches diameter of tree. And some of the
Going through it.
species that they, some of the
But it
species
still
that
doesn't
they
look-
named here are tree species that
It
they
still doesn't look
named
like
there.
that though, right? That's what a clearing looks like, with big trees knocked down.
There's no size requirements in the code, it
Just
just
living
says the
trees.
removal of living trees.
It could be big, large scale or
There's
small.
no talk about maturity or what
It's meant to-
size
it's meant to-
tree or.
It's meant to catch all of it, I think, from the town board, to catch all of the activity and put it to site plan so that people don't clear it before there's a project.
So they're not re-clearing.
regardless of the size, there's dead trees laying on the ground.
It doesn't even, and
But no, I think, but you're getting stuck in the same
it still
space
doesn't
that
change
I
what the
was
board
getting stuck in.
intended, and I think
Once you clear it, it's cleared, but new
Agreed,
Right.
agreed, but
so
But
then,
if you're taking out saplings or little brush, that's not the same as clear, in my mind, is not the same as clearing. That's maintenance, that's taking care of land, but that isn't, what this code is like, you've got a big forest and you knock all the trees down and it looks like that, that's a clearing. I think everybody agrees with that. But if 7 years later you come back and cut down some shrubs that may have grown in the space, it doesn't look like
They're
that.
not all shrubs, they
No, they
named
could
tree
be pretty big in
species.
7 years. They
Yeah,
could
7
be
years,
nice.
up to 4 inches
I do
is like
think-
sizable.
I do think there's a line though, there's some, at some point, it's just shrubs. That's might probably not what happened here, but at some point, they're just little tiny trees. Is that a clear?
I think,
That's, I don't know if we need to decide that,
I
but-
think the duration between 2017 and now is actually helps us make it easier decisions. Because it's a sizable amount of time,
Maybe you don't need a
allowing them to
permit
grow
every
back. So they're not simply just brush. I think we'd all agree that they're probably not, in all likelihood, they were not just brush. They were more substantial young trees that are
In this
now dead,
case, yeah,
not
I
laying
would
down
agree,
dead.
I would agree.
That are laying down dead now.
and it wasn't the board's intention for that to happen.
I don't think
That's
the
the only question we're answering, right? The board's, what was the board's
interpretation
intention?
of the language and then informed by the intent of the board, right? So
And so I think,
what did the board intend to do by passing this law? What are they trying to
To stop exactly
What are they trying to bring under
from what
removal
happened.
and clearing? Yes.
I think the important part, I'm gonna change my tune, living is, living is the important part. Were the trees living prior to?
You can say if they are, then it is.
And if they're after the fact, are they dead, then that
Good point.
constitutes clearing.
Okay, and yeah. Seems to be what the code is saying.
I'd like to introduce a new idea here, so this is inevitably not going to end here. We rule, quasi judicially with the department. This is likely gonna continue based on the way this is going. I don't think that any of us are experts in the field, and I don't think that we're necessarily considering either one consulting with other
It doesn't have
experts.
to be though.
Well, I just think that there are other established definitions, just for the heck of it, I asked.
Don't do it.
Well, no,
It's rational, I think you're overthinking, it's rational for
What do
the
we
zoning
think,
board.
what do we mean?
no, but my point here is that just in a quick search, the DOT, the US Forest Service, the Federal Highway Administration, the US Army Corps of Engineers, and the EPA all have pretty significantly different definitions of the word clearing.
Right, so we should focus
So
on
what's
the
our
one we
definition?
have.
Do you think the board
We're not basing on anyone else.
researched all of those?
What did our town board mean by
Definition?
clearing? That's all we're answering. What did
Yeah,
they,
I think that.
Well, how do we interpret the code?
That gets us
Let's just
really-
stick to that question.
what did the board mean when they made this code? What is included under
I think
clearing?
Ed made it very clear last week, or last month, what his interpretation of the code.
Yeah, I'm kind of arguing against myself here, cause I'm the one who's been saying spirit and intent. I'm just afraid of what is inevitably gonna happen in the next step. And
All you
without
have to
giving
It
them.
doesn't matter.
Don't worry about that. Well, all this board has to do is take a substantial record of evidence and make a rational, reasonable decision, which is what we're doing. We certainly have a record, we have multiple public hearings, we have everything that we could possibly add into the record, discussing it, so I wouldn't worry too much about that.
Okay, what I'm trying to get at, and maybe it's slightly discreetly, is, so maybe I won't beat around the bush. What I'm saying is, I think that there are definitions made by people smarter than us that slightly disagree with what we're saying right now, that will very likely be used against the town if this were to
That
continue
doesn't
to the
matter.
next
Doesn't
step.
It's
matter.
totally irrelevant, Matt, it's totally irrelevant. We're not,
I also don't think we need to
We only
define every
have
scenario that
code.
constitutes clearing.
the board has
We
to
should
make a
just have
rational
it-
interpretation
We should say
of the
the
code.
definition of clearing includes the following.
Yeah, but establishing a definition like that, it's
We're not
just
called
so.
to
There is a
We're not even
definition.
actually
Clearing
trying
is
to
defined
define
as
that,
the
we're
removal
really
of
just
living
trying to
trees.
understand what the intent
That's
of
the
the
definition. That's the only definition we're looking at.
I agree 100%. I still stand by the fact that the spirit and intent of the town when they wrote the code was to prevent the removal of trees. Whether or not they were taken off the property or not, it's no longer a living tree. I think that's pretty,
That's all we need.
yeah,
I mean,
we're
that's,
done.
we could tweak, massage it, that would work.
Got that? Can you repeat that one more time, Max?
I don't need,
Spirit and intent of the town.
You just read
No, I
that
wouldn't
from
rely
that
on
first
the
line.
spirit and intent, guys, it's not, it's our interpretation. The way we, among the factors we can consider are the spirit and
Correct.
intent. It doesn't have to be that. Correct. I don't think we're called to determine that, it's just, we're interpreting it. The ZBA gets to interpret the ZBA's code.
CBA, make a rational determination on it.
We can rely on, among other things, what the intent was.
all I effectively added to that definition is whether it's removed from the property or not.
What's that? No. My card, yeah.
Okay, any other
Well,
comments?
that's all we need. That's pretty
And
solid.
you'll be able, I'll have a draft for all the draft that I'll circulate to the board and you can give any, comments that you like. I think it's important that the board does have put our best foot forward and
Well, I think
produce
it,
a good decision.
yeah, I don't think it has to only be the intent. I think it has to be our interpretation informed by a rational basis, but also that whatever
Which
the
include
final,
us,
right,
include
whatever,
our stakeholders,
right,
what the town board might have intended,
correct. I think
which
we have to.
we've definitely done.
In our final analysis of whatever is written up, I think you have to include both. Because that is how you do it.
Or,
Okay, I guess we have to look at other interpretations.
that's what the state is saying, that you
That's the
interpret the
guidance, is
language
you
and then you
interpret
look
the
at the town
language
board
and
intent.
then you look at the intention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is how we should be arriving at what is ultimately a rational basis for whatever interpretation we reach. So I think,
Sure, that works for me. There's other canons too, like the idea that, I don't want to get too.
right, but we have to look at this, how, like, yes, but we're in this, I don't know. Okay, I think I think Matt, I think,
You think we have enough?
yes.
Any other board members have comments? I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. I'll leave.
Yes, can we make a motion to adjourn?
Moved by Jamie, second by Nick, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, meeting's adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I gotta tell you, I don't envy what you're doing. And I gotta tell you, I couldn't do it. I wouldn't be able to house.
Matt.
The clearing first 20 days.
Recording.
Good to see you.